You've also added a 1 minute strategy narrative, which I
Yeah.
presume is something that I almost learn so that I can recite the strategy to my team. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think sometimes, and I've seen this a lot, if we go through the previous exercises, we understand maybe perhaps the individual activities. But it's really important to understand really succinctly what that strategy is, and this is an opportunity to stop and go, okay, I've got to tick box. I've got to make sure that I'm covering A, B, and C. And I'm going to say it like this. And then that becomes what people will remember, adopt, might be in emails, might be in visuals, might be, at the end of every deck that you're presenting when you're talking about it. But this is how do I succinctly give this strategy clarity with it and repetition, because we are human beings. That's how we remember things. So yeah, this is a stop moment to kind of go, how am I going to say this? What feels natural to my org? What feels natural to me? It's just a moment to sort of reflect for yourself to kind of go, I've got to make sure that this is what I'm saying, because this is a real nice synopsis of the strategy. Yeah.
So if there are, I'd pick a number, let's just say there are 50 people who are just outside the exco, and there are 50 people who need to come up with that 1 minute strategy narrative.
Mm.
Should each one of those people come up with their own version, or should there be one version given to them so that they're all saying the same thing? Because you touched on it must feel natural to me. And if you put the words into my mouth, they may not feel natural. But
Mm.
equally, if you allow me to pick my own version, suddenly you could have deviation.
Yeah. So I would say the strategy narrative really comes from your exec co. So this is in a bite-sized chunk. This is what we're hoping to achieve. This is our sort of first year, first quarter. This is what we need to do. It's the announcement phase of the strategy, and then you're kind of leading with however long it might be. Really depends on organizations. They could be for a matter of months. They can be for 5 years. It really does depend on where you are and what you're doing and who you're working for. So this is what you're giving as that sort of, this is a strategy in its most concentrated form. Memorize it. But if as a line manager, you want to adopt that and that feels natural to you, take it. If it doesn't, it's a great reference point for you to kind of go, making sure I've got to cover all of this. This is essentially what it is. And you can put your own spin if it kind of adds to you. But we've really got to be careful of that whispering down that chain, because this is where messaging starts to get maybe warped slightly, inconsistent. This is where you're at risk of things ending and sounding totally different from the original message. So as close to this as you possibly can is probably what I would recommend. And having it written down and having it clear means that you've always got a point to come back to prevent that from happening further down the chain.
Yeah. And also, interestingly, earlier on, you said when constructing that, I need to construct this because I need to get across A, B, and C. So sort of the three key
Mm-hmm.
points. So I suppose that if the exco is super explicit about at least A, B, and C
Mm.
with a suggestion of, and here's a 1 minute pitch,
Mm.
the 1 minute pitch can be marginally different, but as long as it covers off A, B, and C, collectively, we're in a good space.
Yeah, there is expectation set on. You will know as a line manager who is responsible for implementing the strategy. You know what they are looking for. They have told you
Right.
very clearly, this is where our eyes are now. This is what we want to see. This is what we're measuring. And they've put a time to it as well, because sometimes we forget the basics. Sometimes we just forget to do the basics, and this entire worksheet is about making sure that you don't forget to do the basics, because they are important. Otherwise, it would be the basics.
Yeah.
I think we all know.
And then, of
We
course,
all know that.
and then it leads naturally into,
Mhm.
and therefore we stop doing these things and we start doing these things.
Mhm.
And now I
Mhm.
have understanding and context. I understand why we're stopping doing those things because they're no longer relevant.
Yeah.
And I will start doing these things because they help us. And it all hooks
Mhm.
back to that one
Yeah.
minute narrative.
Yeah.
And you've also given us a 15-minute team conversation guide. What's that?
So I think it's really helpful as somebody that's been a partner to operations within organizations and other support functions. It might be great that I say, this is what you need to do, but we've got lots of different learner types out there and lots of different people absorb information in different ways. I always find it helpful to kind of go, here's a loose script. These are the key points that you want to talk about. This is something you can do. Here's something to keep it in a time efficient way. It's more a suggestion for you, an invitation to maybe this is a format that you want to consider. And that's essentially what it is. A 15-minute conversation with your smaller teams. This is something you might want to pull together or rehearse with the layer underneath yourself, as you get closer to the individuals that are going to be your success for your new strategy. So this is kind of filtering down that information and making it more absorbable. And this is just a thought process on what you could go through and how to stay on point, because it's
Right.
really important to make sure you're staying on point with the messaging. You're not going
Yeah.
down lots of little rabbit holes. You're not putting yourself in a position where you're likely to say, oh, I see your logic, but I need to think about your logic, and your logic supports yours. But I also need to go back and think about the data that, isn't forthcoming at this particular moment in time. I think sometimes we can get trapped in that with individuals
Yeah.
or groups of people. So this is really about kind of like keeping things timed, keeping things clear, keeping a format that works really well. And it's efficient as well because you get to do multiple people and you give them
Yeah.
a forum to voice and take away and make notes, and gives you food for thought to pass up as well.